Hello friends and family. Doing this video because a little while back I had posted a picture of a military shadow box that I had made in honor of an uncle. And I know a lot of family members don't know this uncle existed, so I wanted to just kind of do this to explain where he came from and explain his military. As I was doing ancestry, found out that he was in World War II. So, went down the rabbit hole. The more I found out, the more I wanted to research. And eventually I ended up making a booklet and putting a lot of paperwork in, which I'll show. But first, let me show, I guess, where he came from. So I'll pause this and flip it around and show you. So our grandfather, before he married our grandmother, okay, he was married to this lady, Jessie Lewis, and they had some children. And the person that I'm talking about today is our Arthur Leon Mullins, our uncle. So again, he was in World War II. So once again, I'll pause this and we'll get started. So this is the folder that I made and put a lot of information in. Again, this is Arthur Leon Mullins. Was born in 1923, I believe it was. So he ended up joining the military in 1940. Initially, he joined a armored division, armored regiment. He was supposed to be like a gunner or a machine gunner on a tank. And I'll flip through here. So this is where he graduated from. This is a Pine Camp in New York, I believe it was. This is a picture that I got from our cousin Ken. This is a graduation picture from that camp. Here's the blow up of it, and right here is Leon. And I'll have another blew it up again. So there he is in the middle. Here's a picture of him. I'm assuming 40, 41, somewhere in there. He still has the armored regiment patch on his shoulder. I'm not sure where this picture was taken. So, and again, another picture in his uniform, and there's the patch again. So, and here's just a picture of what that patch might look like. Okay, so just a little bit of history on the 4th Armored Division. At some point in time, Leon went from the Armored Division to the 101st Airborne. And with watching a lot of videos on YouTube, a lot of guys did that because they switched to the 101st because they made more money jumping out of an airplane. I don't know if that's why Leon done it or not, but he switched over to the 101st Airborne. He was in Company F of the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment. And this is just a partial list of the guys that were in that unit. And here you can see Leon's name. I highlighted this guy's name too. And excuse me, Nicholas. I think it's Nice, and he was killed in action. If you kind of remember that name, and we'll bring him up again later. And then this, I had just a little bit of history on the 502nd. Here are some patches associated with the 101st and with the 502nd. So, so here I have a copy of the letter that Dwight Eisenhower read the day before D-Day, and you can look that up if you want to read that. So here is a pretty famous picture. This was again the day before D-Day. Miss Eisenhower talking with the troops. And this right here is Leon. And if you remember this guy here with the 23, kind of keep that in mind too. This means that he was the jump master of the 23rd plane for D-Day. I don't know if Leon was part of his plane or just happened to be next to him during this picture. What, I'm not sure. I can't find any information on who was on what plane on D-Day. So, and again, here's a a picture there, a close up of that same picture. And here's that picture again. And again, this picture shows the day before D-Day, and it gives a little bit of an explanation. This picture was taken from Greenham Common Airfield in England. There was 2 different airfields where the paratroopers took off from. One was Greenham, and I think the other one was like Mulberry or something. From Greenham, there was 2 sets of they call them series, 2 series of planes, Series 7 and Series 8. So again, Series 7 took off from Greenham. Their drop zone was Drop Zone A, and this is how they flew over, and they called this a V of V's. So you had a V and then of V's, 3 V's. So that's how they took off. This was the very first plane, and that was the pilot, Donaldson. And the name of that plane was That's All, Brother. And again, kind of keep that in the back of your mind too as we go through. I'll come back to that also. So here's in that same group, there's the 23rd plane, and Potter was the pilot of that plane. So, and then we had Series 8, which was, in the same way. So I'll jump over. They were part of Mission Albany, and I just have a little bit of information on that. And again, they were part of Drop Zone A. And the plane that they jumped out of was a Douglas C-47 Skytrain, and just a little bit of information on that. Again, you guys can look this stuff up if you want more information. So here's a picture of the C-47, and this is That's All, Brother. I went to the Air Force Museum in Dayton this year in 2024, and they had this plane over there. It's the original plane. A lot of the original framework inside, some of the metal's been replaced. The engines have been replaced, but they've been replaced with the exact same style engine. So technically, it is the original plane. So here's another picture. If you see the stripes, there's black and white stripes here, and then on the back of the tail there were some black and white stripes too, going up and down. They put those on also on the day before D-Day, and they did that because the Americans that were shooting up at the German planes couldn't tell the difference between our planes and theirs, so they painted this stuff on so they could tell the difference between the American planes. And I guess they did that with they had mops and brooms and mop heads and stuff, whatever they could find to paint those on. So they weren't perfect, perfectly straight or anything. So when they redid this plane, they tried to recreate that. So it's a very cool plane. I did get to go up inside of it. So here's a picture during war of Americans in a C-47. And then this is me inside. That's All, Brother. The cockpit's up here, and same with this one, cockpit's up in the front. So next I have, this is would be Greenham Airfield, and they would have flown down and in from the west, and then right in here is all of the beaches. And as you can see on this one, here is drop zone A, which is where they parachuted in at, and right here is Utah Beach, so they dropped in behind Utah Beach. The red stuff is German, German points, strong points. So a couple days after this, Leon was captured by the Germans, and he ended up making it back to the Americans. So when he came back, he had to write a report, obviously, of what happened. So here is an E&E report. They call it Escape and Evasion Report, and this tells what he went through, what in his own words. So this first couple pages is just just general information. And then here's, like I say, in his words, what happened. So they were captured. They went out on patrol. First they dropped at St. Martin de Vireville early on D-Day. Then they went out for patrol, and they ended up getting captured. There were 7 of them that went out, all 7 captured. They were interrogated. Okay, and there's another page I have where I'm assuming it's Leon's hand, where he says they were lined up against a brick wall, and a German ordered other German soldiers to raise their pistols, and they were going to shoot them if they didn't answer questions. And he says that we called their bluff and they didn't get shot. So luckily, there he survived. So they moved on, and it tells in here the different places that they moved. As the Allies got closer, then they moved the POWs, and as the Allies got closer there, then they moved them again. So as they were moving them, somewhere in there, there was a line of POWs, and mixed in was German soldiers. And 4 American P-47s flew over and must have thought that they were all Germans retreating. So they all kind of U-turned and come back and strafed them all, and turned around and came back and strafed them all again, all 4 of them. And it says in here that he had 2 friends, but 2 friends and buddies were killed not 3 feet away. So he was very lucky again not to get killed there. So as from there they moved on at night, so that wouldn't happen again. The Germans had to move at night, and again they were every time they stopped, they were counted to see if anybody escaped or anything or was killed. During that shooting, some guys escaped. So my uncle kind of got with the guy. He was a French Canadian, and his name was Joseph. It's Deziel. I'm going to say it wrong if I say it, so I'm not going to say it. So those 2 met up, and during one of their stops, they were all counted. And my uncle and this Joseph, Private Joseph, weaved through the line, and they got to a point where they ended up taking over the last, the 2 guards, and they ended up killing them and escaping. And so from there they went to a French resistance house, and they hid out there. So he ended up, they told him, you got to get rid of your American stuff, because if they come back through, and see you're American, they're just going to capture you again. So Uncle Leon hid his dog tags in these people's houses or shed or a barn or something, some there, and then he got fake ID, and that's how he made it back to the American side. So probably, I don't know, about 5 years later, or 5 years ago from today, or from this year, that same family still lives in the same house, and they were cleaning, and they found Leon's dog tags like 75 years later or so. So it's pretty cool. I do have a picture of that. So I'll move on here. So this is a map of where he parachuted in at. And here's St. Martin de Verville. So he parachuted and landed there, drop zone A. And then these are all the places that he mentions in his report that they took him. And this is the last place that he mentioned. So I'm assuming that this is where he escaped from. So it's all in France. And here is a picture of a P-47, and that's what shot at him. So I had a picture of that and just some information. And this is I guess like the final version of his escape and evasion report. A lot of the stuff in his they had crossed out, and that stuff is not mentioned in this report. So jump ahead here again. These are just some other paperwork just showing that he was in the 502nd and stuff. So, and says that he has been fully interrogated on July 17th. So again, after he made it back. This is what they call a locator card, and you can see his name there. And this shows that he was missing in action on June 6th of 44. So we'll continue on here. So this is a morning report, and this shows like who was missing. I'm assuming that these are the guys that went out on patrol with him, and they all, were all captured at the same time. So you can see Uncle Leon there. So here's this guy, this Nicholas Neese, which you remember was killed in action. He was one of the guys that was killed during those strafing runs that the P-47s did. So, and here's a couple other guys. So from that information, I got this information. This is that morning report, and these are the 5 guys that were on that report. Uncle Leon, this is Nicholas Neese, Veach, which you can see these 3 guys with Leon. All 3 of these guys made it out of the war. So Carl Watts and John Whitey. So just did that for the heck of it. Another morning report. It also shows Uncle Leon. So, and then here's a picture of, this is Uncle Leon. He made it back, obviously on our side, the Allied side, and he's swapping out German cigarettes for American cigarettes. So one of the stories that I got from Ken that came from Uncle Leon was when Uncle Leon made it back to the Allied side, he didn't have his dog tags, and he had this fake ID, so they thought he was a German trying to infiltrate the American side. And I guess a lot of Germans had been trying that, so they asked him a bunch of questions, and he did answer a lot of the questions, but there was some questions obviously he couldn't answer, so they they told him, hey, you got one more shot to answer these questions, or we're going to take you out back and shoot you. And when Leon got to England, he had a tattoo on his forearm And it's, as he was asking the guy, was asking him questions, his arm started itching. So he pulled up a sleeve and showed the guy his tattoo, which was of an American flag, an eagle, and it said mother on it. And once the guy saw that, he said, no German would put that on his arm. He said, "Welcome home, soldier." So he was lucky again that he didn't get killed. So I'm gonna go on. Here's a picture of his uniform. This up here is his hat, and then his jacket and a medal that he got. So, and this medal it's AGON, and then Containville. I think it's a city or whatever village in France. I'm not sure why he got that, but here's some other pictures of Uncle Leon, and you can see here he has his 101st Airborne patch on his sleeve, and again him in uniform, 101st Airborne patch on his sleeve there. So and then here's just some other, like a membership card or something there. So so when he came back, they told him that he couldn't return to his unit. So I think from that point he switched over to the 11th Airborne. And I have a picture here, and you can see the 11th Airborne patch on his shoulder. So this is what they call I think it's a DD-214, I believe. This just has a little history of his military career. This is a like a shadow box that was his, that our cousin Ken has, and has his medals and stuff in it. And this is kind of where I got the idea of making my own shadow box. I was just gonna get a few of his awards and some of the patches, and then one thing led to another, and I bought more and more patches and more medals and stuff. So ended up making my own. So I'll show that again here in a little bit. So some of his medals, he has a Bronze Star and an arrowhead. The arrowhead was given for troops that came by sea or by airborne glider. Troops that dropped behind enemy lines qualified for a Bronze Invasion Arrow. The Bronze Star was just if you did a particular thing once, you got a Bronze Star. If you did it 5 times, then they gave you a Silver Star. So, and he did have on this other picture, he's got a Bronze Star here, and there's a Bronze Star here, and then there's an arrowhead there. So and then these are just some of the other things that he got. Presidential Unit Citation. These are some of the ranks that he held. He was Staff Sergeant, Second Lieutenant, and First Lieutenant. I believe he was a First Lieutenant when he left the war. Again, more combat infantry badge. You got the American Defense Medal. Got the Good Army Conduct Medal. American Defense Medal. European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal. And the World War II Victory Medal. Again, you got the discharge, honorable discharge. It's like a little pin. Another picture of the Presidential Unit Citation. Got some of the stuff in here twice, but then here is a letter, honorable discharge letter. from the military. So here's another letter. I believe these were just pre-printed, and then they just typed in the soldier's name. But this is just this is a letter. It's from the White House and from President Harry Truman. And at some point in time, Leon was on a boat, and I've seen this on TV before. When a ship crosses like the equator or a meridian line or something, they have a little fun thing that they do for the guys that haven't crossed those lines before, and then they get a certificate and stuff. So Leon was on this SS Costa Rica Victory, and that was in November of '46. So they went across the 180th meridian line, and this is the ship that he was on. So from there, just a little bit of history on that ship. And then these are Leon's dog tags, and these are what was found in that French family's house. From what we know, so again, this is 2024. This is December. Back in September, Ken and his wife and some family members went over and traced Leon's roots, or his through the POW camps. I think he said he talked to the family that had these, or that found these, and I guess the old man that had them has dementia and ended up giving them to one of his kids and doesn't remember who he gave them to. So these will probably never get to come back home. So here's just a couple plaques from Leon's. This one's from the 11th Airborne. This one's from the 101st Airborne. And then just some pictures of Leon. This is the way I remember Leon. I met him, a few times, and this is, what he looked like when I met him back in probably the 80s. And then we just have this is a census, 1930 census, and this shows right here our grandfather with Jesse and Leon and his sister and brother here. So again, 1930. And this one's from 1940. As you can see, our grandfather's not there. This is with Jesse and Leon. And there's another daughter there. Not positive if she's from Papa or not. So, but the first three are. So Leon, I think it's Juanita and Harold. And then here's his headstone. This is in Texas. That's where he's buried. So, so other than that, his E&E report listed that guy, that Private Joseph Dazelle or something. So I actually have a copy of his escape and evasion report, and of course Leon mentions this guy Joseph, and in Joseph's report he mentions Leon, and there's another report from another guy that also references Leon's escape and evasion report. So that's pretty interesting. So hope everybody enjoyed it. I know I'm doing this for family and friends, but with putting it on YouTube, I know the whole world's going to see it, so not a big deal. So yeah, thanks for, I hope this got you some information on who he was. If any family member has any questions or whatever, just get a hold of me. Thanks again.